Hi world, it's about 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon on Monday the 4th of January 2021. Greetings from what for England is a cold, dark afternoon where it's sleeting and like yuck out there. Ugh. It's alright if you're in the southern hemisphere though, and this is nothing compared to the winters that you get in places like Siberia or the lakes area of the North American continent, so I'm not going to complain too much. Astrologically, we are poised. We're on the edge of the springboard, ready for the last big dive. As I speak, the moon in the sky is in Virgo opposite Neptune. Mercury is just about to conjunct Pluto at 24 degrees of Scorpio. This will happen in the next 24 hours. Mars is entering 29 degrees of Aries. Mars will leave Aries in 2 days' time after 6.5 months and move into Taurus. But we are poised. Mercury is now moving so fast that in 3 days' time it will move into Aquarius, and then immediately it will conjunct both Jupiter and Saturn and square Mars, just as Mars is moving into Taurus and will square Jupiter and Saturn. This will then follow up in a few days after that when Mercury in the sky will square Uranus, just as Mars is coming up to Uranus, and we have a critical new moon on January the 13th with the moon conjunct Pluto. Over recent months, I've been suggesting that more and more that the first 6 weeks of 2021 are going to be the hardest time of the year. And the closer we've got to it, the more I've refined that time, where I'm talking about how the 2nd, 3rd and 4th week of January will be the most difficult times. And then, although it may seem easier as we get into early February onwards, we are entering a Mercury retrograde. So we're still going to be, we're not going to be getting clarity in February, but it does seem as if the worst will be over. And certainly as we get into March, 2nd week of March, and that new moon with the sun and the moon and Venus all conjunct Neptune in Pisces, that says to me, I know I'm going against conventional thought here, but that says to me that the more we get into the 2nd and 3rd week of March, the more we're going to be able to say goodbye to the extremes of the last year. Whether you're buying into the virus myth, the virus story, or the vaccine story and myth, but when you look at what's going on right now, there's different vaccines out there now, and some of them are genetically engineered, and some of them are just sort of to boost the immune system. And I don't know what it's like in the country that you're in, but in my country they're talking about mixing the vaccines. And I have to be honest, I'm not suggesting that any one political party could do better than the other, but at the moment the politicians in my country just haven't got a clue. Some are saying, oh, we've got to close all the schools, and others saying, no, we've got to send the children to school. It does seem as if the virus is now, especially the new variants, is hitting the youth. And the problem is that no one seems to know what anyone else is doing. And despite all the promises of wonderful tests and wonderful vaccines, the rollout is pitifully slow. But it seems to be faster in the UK than in most other countries. Hundreds have been vaccinated in France, as opposed to millions in the UK, Israel. But it seems in Britain that no one knows who to believe or who to trust anymore. In America, we're heading into the perfect storm. 20+ million cases, 375,000 deaths. Now, there's lots of you who are going to be going, oh, but the virus doesn't exist. It's man-made. It's a fake. Fact is fact. there's been over, with 75,000 recorded deaths attributed to coronavirus in the UK in the last year, and actually with about 120,000 more deaths in this last year than in any other year pro rata over the last 30 or 40 years. Coronavirus is real. I don't know if the vaccines will work or not. I'm still not taking mine yet. And those of you who are not taking the vaccines, those of you who are not wearing masks or visors, if your health situations is bad that you can't wear a mask, those of you who are still adamant that you're going out into supermarkets and crowded areas with no mask on, well, you got blood on your hands. Too many of my close friends have caught coronavirus and have been very close to death. If you don't think it's real, you're deluded. You're living in some type of weird conspiracy theory driven alternative universe. Having said that, I have absolutely no confidence in the regulatory authorities, at least in my country, and I can't speak for any other country in the world. What I can speak for authoritatively, with certainty and with knowledge, is the astrological configurations at this time, suggesting that in this next week it's going to get worse. And then it's going to stabilise. And I suspect that the new lockdowns which are about to be initiated will last for a week or two, probably through to mid-January, late January. Then we'll start to come out of it, just as Mercury goes retrograde. And I would hope, as I say, that by mid-February, once Mars has cleared Uranus completely, Jupiter will be squaring Uranus around that time, early mid-February. Saturn starts to square Uranus from mid-late February onwards, then for the rest of the year. But it seems we're getting into charted territory. It seems we're getting into areas where we can see ways out and timelines developing from an astrological perspective. And the more we get into mid-February onwards, I just got this image of clarity from an astrological perspective. I still retain hope and optimism. I still believe that this is going to go down in history as one of those game-changing moments that changes things forever. And those of you who think we can just go back to the sort of celebrity Instagram, McDonald's burger, ignorant of climate chaos lifestyle that we had a year ago, you're dinosaurs. This has been the biggest single wake-up call that humanity's had, at least in my lifetime. I'm friends with a few elders who remember the Second World War, who lived through the Second World War. And I believe them when they say to me that the Second World War was worse than this, although at least in the Second World War you could go around your neighbour's house and borrow a cup of sugar and you could actually reach out to hug someone, unlike at the moment. But this will pass. I've never seen a time like this in my life, and I'm 65. And it will pass. And I honestly expect by mid-March this to be over. I know I've been saying this is going to be over for a long time, but it will. It will. We will get used to it. Herd immunity will kick in. The vaccines will save us. I don't know. But the world's going to be a very different place in 3 weeks' time. Very different indeed. And then we'll start to approach a level of sanity, not so much normality, but sanity, and we'll all breathe a sigh of relief as we leave January. Now, I'm starting my second module of my beginner's course in astrology. I'm looking at the individual planets in terms of their position in the signs and the houses of the zodiac this Thursday, and there's still about 30 or 40 places left. You can find out about it on the details of my courses section on my website, stevejudd.co. And whilst I'm on that subject, big thank you to all those people out there who have complimented me on that website. I had my first astrological website in early 2001, so it's going to be 20 years in May since I've had a website, and the website I have now is by far the best website I've ever had. Anybody who wants a good website built, especially if you're in the UK, but anywhere really, just go to unicornwebsolutions.com. The people who run that, brilliant. And yeah, coming back to the immediate present. No easy way to say it. This next week, this next 10 days sucks. But by the time we're into the 13th, 14th of January, it's going to be different. It's still going to be sort of horror headlines. But by the time we're into the 21st of January, there's going to be the first chinks of light. And by the time we're into the 28th, 29th of January, just as Mercury goes retrograde, we're all going to dare to start coming out of our individual rabbit holes and think, have we survived? Can we bounce back? And the answer will be yes. So hang in there. It's always darkest just before dawn. Thank goodness we got astrology to keep us, to give us an objective, detached and impersonal perspective. Catch you later, world. Bye.